On this episode of Speaking of Spirits, one of my all-time favorites. That's right, today we are talking about the Ouija board. Is it a harmless children's game, a portal to the dark world, or a great way to make some new friends? Stick around as we discuss the Ouija board today on Speaking of Spirits.
Hey everybody, this is Colleen with Speaking of Spirits. I got my sidekick Tim and Zach.
Hello.
And Carrie.
Hello.
And today we are talking about the evil spirit board. So, evil, yeah. Well, okay. Other word for it, right?
There is spirit board, talking board, Ouija board.
Yep, all the above.
Very bored.
Yeah, okay. So, a lot of people say, don't mess with them. Oh my God, don't mess with them. They're evil. It's a tool of communication.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I think context is so important, and what can happen with these.
Yeah. I mean, you can go very dark. You can invite just having a conversation. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the board itself, it's how it's used.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's whether you've got candles set up and the lights turned out and what your intentions are. It's no different than when you do any kind, your pendulum, your card readings, meditating and trying to connect with the spirit world. Whatever you're doing, a lot of it is your intention. What is your environment? Are you putting up protective walls? Are you bringing in the dark?
Right.
so, and it's Halloween, so we know that they're going to be bringing in the dark.
There's some very pretty Ouija boards.
That's beautiful, actually.
On the interwebs.
Oh, wow. That would be cool to just have on your coffee table as a decoration.
I'd
love that. I've seen coffee tables and rugs and headboards and all kinds of
blankets.
stuff.
The Ouija board is backed by popular demand right now.
Absolutely.
They're everywhere.
When did it first come out?
It was 1890, Baltimore.
Yeah. So this 1890s. So remember, we've talked about this in other podcasts. That's the movement of spiritualism, right? The 1800s and people contacting the dead and the seances and everything else. It's a lot of it with when Abe Lincoln was shot, and his wife was using spiritualists and mediums to kind of do seances to talk to Abe, and so that movement was huge. So, of course, somebody's going to come out with this later as a way to communicate. But people think, every teenager, and I can guarantee that every teenager listening to this podcast has played with a Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is my first experience, honestly.
You really have not?
Never.
You've never even seen one?
What?
No.
Wow. So we made one. And so during our podcast, we can see what happens. So normally you have a planchette, right? Which is the thing that glides over the board, and it has felt on it, so it's moving really smooth over the board. You wanna do it? Carrie's
warming up the fingers.
Oh boy, you should see the lightning coming out of their fingertips. So,
So for anybody who's out there like Tim that has never seen one or played with one, it has the numbers on it from 0 through 9. And then it has the alphabet, and it has yes and no, and goodbye.
Yes.
Is the old Hasbro version of
Right.
it.
Right. So when we are communicating as a team with our dowsing rods or any we're not inviting, we're asking who's present with us, but we're not inviting the whole dead world to come into our space. Usually we kind of have an idea of who's in the building or male or female. So are you asking Carrie?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my yes and no, because when
Yes.
you're using, we don't have a planchet, so we're going to kind of use a pendulum here and see what happens. But I've got to know what my yes and no is on
Yeah,
it.
so what she means is she's calibrating, we're using a necklace as a pendulum. She's got to calibrate the circle, the spin, or the movement for yes, and the spin or the movement for no. And you
So-
do that every time because it's,
So it seems to me,
yes.
just a feller right here.
It didn't start moving until he started talking.
Well, that figures.
I'll tell you what,
The power of this man.
I'm pretty
So that's clockwise.
fancy. So as far as like a pendulum thing, is there a certain thing you should use, or just anything weighted with string?
Well, a lot of you can use a needle and thread
Yeah.
to create a pendulum. This is kind of a little heavier than what I'm used to, and normally it's just a one-sided chain. You know, it just has one side on it, but you just let it relax in between there, and it actually, yeah, maybe that would help. So what it is, yeah, and then you calibrate your yes and no.
Am I pretty?
Ah! It's a yes, Tim.
Tell you what. We can stop right now.
Okay, so she's trying to calibrate. We're making too much noise,
No, I'm sorry.
but it is a podcast, so we have to
Okay.
keep talking.
So somebody asked a question.
Dad, as in my dad Bob, are you here?
What's back and
Oh
forth?
boy.
No,
That's
No?
that's a no.
That's interesting. He was
So-
here earlier.
When it circles, it's a yes,
Yes.
and back
Okay.
and forth is no.
Okay. So then, what is your grandpa's name?
Edward.
Edward, are you here? No, it's nothing really happening. Okay. All right. Do you have somebody?
Nobody in particular comes to mind.
Didn't you say you had a girl in here that everybody sees but you?
You saw the
You?
girl. Uh-oh. And it's spinning. But who is she? I don't know who she is. It's definitely spinning. It's not the
It's
back and
going
forth.
pretty good right now.
It's really spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who she is? I have zero idea. I have no little girls in my life.
I don't know who she is because it's not my daughter.
Okay.
I know my daughter's in it. I know
Okay,
my
so
daughter's
let's try to
So
find out who she
there's
is.
two different that are standing forward. I mean, there's others around, but there's two different standing forward right now.
Okay, talk loud so we
But
can
one
hear
of
you.
them, I don't know who this girl is.
You see these people?
I can feel
Oh,
the different
see, that's
energies in the
so
room.
freaking weird. I can't see these people.
This is kind of hard. That's why this is harder for me too, because I'm going, yeah, actually you are here, but you're not standing up and pushing through the energy. See?
Okay, so who's this? I don't know who this little girl is. You've seen her here before.
Okay, so let's do this.
Okay.
Is there like a standard set of questions for these things? Or do you just...
Not necessarily. So, like, if we were to do a session and whatever your grandfather or whatever said to me, I would tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Same with her. Like, both their energies are in the room. I mean, you've got energies around you. We all do. I don't know who this little girl is, though, but apparently yes, you do. Colleen knows who you are.
A little girl?
Colleen, you know who this is.
I have no idea
Your
who this
attachment is to Colleen.
Definitely spinning. But I don't know.
Family? No,
No.
this is not family. Friend? No.
Exactly. I have no idea. So Carrie's moving, the pendulum is really moving around, but it's saying no. No to family and no to friend.
And it stopped. That was kind of cool.
Oh.
Perhaps
How do you see
there's an attachment to the area.
Mm-mm.
So, are you 13 years old? 14 years old? 12 years old? 12.
I have no idea who this child is. So 12 years old would have been when I moved here to Idaho, and I didn't.
Do you have an attachment to this property, which is attachment to Colleen?
Yes, but
It's a property.
oh,
But that's the attachment to you.
okay.
And that's why it's
interesting.
not a family, it's not a friend.
So, did you have an attachment to the people that rented this house for many years?
No.
And no. Are you a Native American girl? Yes. It's starting to circle. So interesting.
Are you half native? My arm's getting tired.
Can you set your elbow?
Yeah,
on the
hold
camera?
on. Hold on just a second. We got to reset this. Sorry about that. That was my fault.
So we're asking all these questions and the pendulum is moving.
So you're half native?
Interesting. That's definitely swinging around in circles. So I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea who she is. Is there a way we can come up with her name? Yes. You know her name already. Came to you. What's her name?
I want to see if she'll... Can we do it over
Can
the
we,
board?
we'd like to
I
spell,
want to see
so
if
we're
it...
going to see if she'll
I
spell
don't
her
know
name.
if it will because I don't know how I'm going to...
Can you set your elbow down?
Oh.
I know because
Yeah, but
when
how do
when I
you-
set my elbow down, my balance is
Need
off, and I feel
something.
like my fingers are moving it, and I don't want my fingers to be the ones moving it.
We're trying to figure out how we can make a planchette out of something that'll slide.
Do you have a smaller?
Bottle cap,
Bottle
maybe?
cap?
What about?
Oh, snap.
Bottle cap.
These?
Yeah,
That's kind of what I was
Yeah, just take one of these
yeah.
off.
We're gonna try something.
We're gonna
different
try
here.
something else. So these are things that you can do at home, right? We're gonna try to figure out how to make a planchette and how to make it move.
Just that.
The thing is,
No bueno.
well, making it so that it like centers over a.
I know the name.
Okay, just tell us the name.
Samantha.
Samantha. Interesting.
The name is Samantha.
Oh, sorry, that was loud right in the
Yeah,
microphone,
right
and
into
that
the
was
microphone.
Tim.
That was
You're
Tim,
welcome.
the sound guy.
No.
So
Just the guy.
So Samantha. Samantha is your name. Okay, so Carrie does readings for a living. So this is what she does. So she was able to pull this name out. I don't know Samantha. And apparently she's part of the property. Very interesting. I am not, and nor will I ever claim to be a medium. I haven't felt her energy here. Maybe I have. But I always ask her if she's the one who's flipping that thing up on my counter all the time. I think it's my dad. Yes? She says yes. I think it's my dad, though. Because my dad. So this morning, I'm making a big breakfast, right? I have this, what do you call those appliance garages in the middle of my counter where you can stuff stuff into it, and it has a roll top that comes down. And so my dad's favorite thing, especially before he died, was when he lived with me, I'd tell him, on the weekends, we're going to make a big old-fashioned farm country breakfast. And he's all excited. So this morning I'm cooking a big old-fashioned farm country breakfast, and that's what I told my dad. I said, hey, Dad, I'm cooking. And that roll top went wham! And it flipped up. So I'm like, okay, Dad was excited, making his breakfast. So, anywho, so you can make a spirit board at home. You can draw one out. That's what we did. We drew one out. You can use a pendulum. It's a little more difficult to use. You don't have to have a planchette, but it's a little more difficult to use. You would have to, like if we took this necklace off
And tried to just
use it with our fingers, touching it, it would move. It would move. And you can tell, like when I did this with my friends growing up and all that, you can tell if somebody's moving it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally lift your fingers off and the thing's moving. So, it's when you connect with the energy's there. Is it tied to the occult?
Some say it is. Aleister Crowley at one time wanted to work with Hasbro and do a class on the which he would have made millions on it. Well,
Yeah, he would have.
Hasbro's made millions on it anyway. But,
Yeah.
Is that the long-term game for Hasbro? We'll just wait till he's gone.
Well, his was he wanted you to form the circle, and he wanted you to, but that's Aleister Crowley was somebody who brought in the elements. He was somebody who brought in the magic, or what most people call magic.
Yeah. Quotations.
And, well, yeah, I mean, have you ever studied Aleister Crowley or read any of his books or did anything? I mean, so he was, he's one of the historical beings in that realm.
Yeah.
So,
I am not as well versed as I should be. I will just put that pin in there. But everything that I've learned about him, it seems to me like there was always an angle. Did you get that feeling?
well, he made a lot of money off of people.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It seems like he was
But
just...
was he truly gifted? I think he truly was.
Yeah, okay.
But he also made a lot of money.
But I also believe that he was tapped into to things that I don't ever want to be tapped into.
He was tapped into some very dark stuff, but he also knew how to market them.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to say politely. Like, do you think it was all a marketing tool?
No. I think he truly was. And maybe, we have this discussion. Can you sell your soul?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was a bargain made.
He has
I don't
a banjo
know.
somewhere.
Exactly.
Well, I'm
on
saying,
the crossroads.
Yeah, on the crossroads, right? I mean, a lot of people will tap into stuff that's really, really dark and say, okay, I want fame and fortune and everything that comes with it. And I give you my eternal life, right?
Mm-hmm.
They make these promises, right? You never know who's going to take you up on that, right? Or what's going to take you up on that. I mean, those are... You never want to make deals like that.
Right.
Because it and people say, oh, hogwash, it can happen. Well, look at the Crossroads dude, right?
Yeah.
What was his name? He did the episode on him, Johnny...
After I said banjo, I was trying to think of his name. It would not come to me.
He's a blues artist that did...
He's part of the 27 Club, too.
Yes. Crossroad blues artist. I have to type it in now on our podcast because I can't remember his name. Robert Johnson.
Hey! Good thing that's a hard name.
Good thing. I know, right? So he allegedly made a deal. He could not play the guitar. He could not play the guitar. He was horrible.
That's well documented.
Very well documented.
Like,
This
everybody
wasn't
said he tried.
He tried, and then allegedly he was at a crossroads one night, and it's a very infamous now crossroad location in Mississippi that he stumbled upon or made a deal with the devil to become the world's best blues player. And within 2 years, he was. No question. He came back like a few months later, and he could outplay anybody and everybody. And he was incredible. So, now, did he make a deal? I don't know. But deals can be made.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful with the paranormal. You have to be really careful. Can it happen? Yeah, it could. Can things follow us home from investigations? Yeah. It has. People have had that happen. Does it happen with me? No, I'm too mean. But no, literally, I mean, you have to just lay down that like mental law that you're not going to mess with me. You're not going to do this.
But you just have to, like, still to me, everything goes back to energy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's why, so these Ouija boards, can you use them? Yeah. Should you? Yeah, there's no reason why you can't, as long as you lay down those ground rules. One of the things I try not to investigate when I'm sick, and it not
Or
just
angry,
or
any of that.
Yeah, you have to go in there with
in a bad space.
Right. Have I? Yeah. And I think it led to a period of now 4 years of illness. Because I did the enders. I was so sick they called in a doctor to make sure I didn't die. That's how sick I was. The mayor called in a doctor and said, you need to be with her because we're afraid that she's going to stop breathing. I was that sick. And I think it led to like a long sickness that I've been battling with. So can it happen? Absolutely. So you need to now, I just didn't want to lose that opportunity. It's such an incredible hotel. I didn't want to lose it, but dumb. So you need to lay down the ground rules. You need to ensure that you're healthy when you're doing stuff. And is the Ouija board part of the occult? I don't know. They classify everything as occult. So who knows? I
think it could be very easily a tool for the occult. But
Definitely.
Beyond that, I don't know about anything else.
It's a divination tool.
Right.
It's a form of divination.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think just people say that just the fact that we do investigations is the occult, that we're messing with the occult.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have family that is afraid for me.
Yes.
Literally.
I have friends that have told me that
you're inviting bad things to happen to you.
Exactly. And I have a very good friend,
really?
and he says the same thing. He goes, that's the reason why you've had some this and that or whatever going on. So I think it's I don't necessarily think it's the occult. I think that people are afraid of what they don't understand. Can you use the Ouija board and have fun with it? Yeah, I think you can. Talk to your grandma, provided she was nice. I mean, you know what I mean?
And if she wasn't, yell at your grandma.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, be careful with the tools that you have available to you. But yeah, can you use it? Yeah. Have I used it? Absolutely. Do I still use it? I don't own one anymore. But yeah, I cannot tell you how many times people have called me to come get their Ouija boards from their properties and burn them for them. Anywho,
well, that goes a lot to like all aspects of life. I was talking about this earlier. Like, you totally have inner control of yourself. Like period. And if you allow, let's talk about living people for a minute, shall we? Let's pretend Zach's having an awfully bad day.
Right.
I can allow his bad day to turn into my bad day.
Yeah.
Or I can keep going on with my good day. Like,
Yep.
To have that inner knowledge of yourself and that inner peace, if you will, no one can change that no matter what the circumstances.
I would say with exceptions.
Okay, listen.
If you're an empath, it's really, really hard to disconnect.
Okay.
If I'm sitting with Zach or you or Carrie and something really traumatic has just happened, that energy is all around you and it affects me. And it's really, really hard to step back and try to get it away from me.
But
that's hard.
But that's why you need to keep your bubble.
That bubble. But yeah, but even as far as walking down Main Street, I am bombarded with everybody's, because face it, most people, when they're projecting that emotion, it's not usually happiness.
No.
It's, I've just lost my baby, or my uncle just died, or my husband just beat me, or it's all of these things coming at me. And you're just like, oh, sometimes it's really, really hard for me to be around anybody. That's why I have protected myself on this property so much, because I don't get that from animals. But, people, the humans, they're coming at you, and they don't even know they're projecting it.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to keep those walls up all the time. Because I might be just walking down Main Street to go get my mail, and I'm not thinking about anybody's energy. I just get in the post office, get out, and get in the safetyness of my truck, right? And somebody walks by me, and woof, there it is. And it can drive you to your knees.
But I'll tell you what, the energy in Old Town Pocatello, though, is very heavy.
It's very heavy.
I mean, and that's for anybody that's ever been in Old Town Pocatello.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
So do you have a reset that you can go to?
I try.
Yeah.
I actually do like a breathing exercise when it's overwhelming. But usually that's why I don't leave my house very often. Very often. Not very often do I leave. I work from home. I try to stay. Even the office is overwhelming to me because I am being bombarded all day long by everybody and their energy. And I can tell you who had a fight that morning with their husband or whatever. This is like, oh my God. It's so hard to disconnect from all of that.
Yeah. Did you say that this has developed more over the last few years, or has it always been?
Always been.
Always
been. It's the precog, the premonition part that's all of a sudden just come on. I never had that. I mean, I always had that I know who's calling me kind of thing. And a lot of us do that, right? Like, oh, boom, you think of them, boom, here they call. But the precognition part of knowing something traumatic's going to happen, like we talked about, and I don't want to talk about it on the podcast, but and then there it is, and it's like, holy crap, that was my mother's gift. I never wanted that, never, and that came on about, when did that thing happen? 2 years ago?
2, yeah.
Yeah. So that's there was a major event that happened, and I called Mark a lot. He's on our podcast. I'm like, Mark, and it's like I'm trying to step back from it, and you can't stop it. You can't stop it. So
no, you either embrace it or let it rule you.
Yeah, but it's really some of this stuff is you can't turn it off. You just have to try to figure out how to breathe through it. I don't like precog. I don't like the energy that other people give me. But so I think, for a lot of people, not having like Zach's bad day may become my bad day. Mm-hmm. Easier said than done. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are empaths and they don't know it. Like picking up the energy, and if somebody's super happy, like you feel great and exuberant around them. And then if you're picking up somebody's low energy and all of a sudden you feel low and you can't figure out why because you were having a really good day, that's that empathic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and I totally get that. And I think 2020 really shook me to my foundation in a few things. But I think it should have proved to everybody that we're all entwined somehow. And whatever you want to contribute to, if it's empathy or hive mind or focus, whatever. There's lots of lines you could go down. I haven't talked to one person that had a good 2020.
No.
So, yeah.
Well, and so getting back to like the Ouija board, I don't think that a lot of people, when you're using it, I don't think it's like Carrie says, there's all these people standing around us right now. Because she can see them, she can sense it, she can feel them. She knows who's connected to who. So there's 4 of us in this room right now. We're at my house. And she can see them, sense them, feel them, but we can't.
Mm-hmm. You can't feel when the room gets thicker.
I can feel the heaviness when we go into like a building that we're investigating. I can feel
right, but when we start talking, even when we're up at the studio,
rarely,
and we start talking, you can't feel the shift in the room sometimes.
I think I'm so focused on the podcast and where we're going with the notes and all of that thing that sometimes I lose that. I'm not opening myself up to allow it. Right. I'm just thinking, you feel it. I know Katie, like she'll be like, woo, the hair on her neck, like she'll feel it. Mm-hmm. She's super sensitive. I'm more focused on watching you guys and looking for cues and where we're going with the conversation. Yeah.
But like he's starting to open up more and more.
Yeah, Tim.
Well, definitely. I actually used to be a lot more open years ago.
But you shut
We're
down.
talking like teen years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that was a long time
That was a
ago.
long time ago, real long time ago. And like I just learned to focus on different things.
To try to ignore it?
I'm really good at ignoring stuff. That's like my top 3 things.
Yeah.
Ignoring is like number 2.
Yeah.
At least he's not in denial. That's what's
No,
awesome.
that's true.
There is no denial there.
That's number 3.
So that's why
That's
people,
after his
a lot
denial.
of people go to these spirit boards or the Ouija board, right? Is because they're not in tune with what's happening around them. And it is a tool for them that's easy to use.
Yeah.
Pendulums are not that easy to use. I was trained on using a pendulum, and you have to calibrate them every time.
And you have to be very sturdy.
Yes.
And that's why I was trying to find my spot.
Right.
Because you can move them pendulums
Yep.
to go back and forth. Well,
Your breathing sways them.
Right. I mean, you can, but so that's why you have to be.
That's why I was so interested when it stopped.
Oh,
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah.
Because like the swinging back and forth, you can, but when it stopped, it's like, oh, that's hard.
Yeah. It's not easy to do because you have to try to trick it to stop, and it's not easy to do. You'd see your hand moving, right? So, and you have to calibrate it every time you use it because every time yes and no is going to be a different swing. So you have to kind of focus and calibrate it. I am so like ADD that I can't meditate because I'm like ping, 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 ping. So I can't do it. It's really hard. I can do a bit pendulum. I prefer the dowsing rods because I don't have to. It's like it gives me
But to
something
me,
focus
the dowsing rod is no different than a Ouija board,
They're not.
other than you don't have the alphabet and numbers, but you
Right.
still got your yes, no.
Yeah.
You're still getting that
at
yes,
feedback.
no, or whatever.
And it's so much fun when they rip them right out of your hands. That's so much fun. You're like, woo, the energy's strong with this one.
Every once in a while, you can find water too.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what they were developed for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we drilled our well from using dowsing rods at home growing up twice. So, yeah. So is a Ouija board evil? I don't think so. Can you use it for dark intentions? Absolutely, you can.
Do you think particular folks shouldn't use it?
I think if you are aware that there's some sort of dark energy surrounding you, I think that using a Ouija board could be a negative choice. That's just my opinion on that. Whereas if you know that you have some sort of negative attachment and you decide to open yourself up to that more using a Ouija board to communicate with it, I do think that could definitely go down some dark paths. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I said that's what earlier. That's like I was talking about the environment that you're using it in.
Yeah.
But of course, as teenagers, ours was candles,
Right. Dark.
Right?
Nice and spooky.
Nice and
Oh,
spooky.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because we knew what we were doing.
Who's the dude that everybody
No.
played backwards? Like if you played him, is it Alice Cooper? Somebody like that. If you played his music backwards, the devil would show. Do you remember that? It was in the 70s.
Yeah, there's all sorts of artists where they start those rumors about
Or
them.
Metallica or something.
They had some with the Beatles
Was it Ozzy
too.
Osbourne? Yeah.
Lonely Hearts Club. There's a few things where if you play it backwards, you hear odd stuff.
Yeah.
So, did any of you ever have horrible siblings that locked you in the closet and played Bloody Mary?
No.
Oh, no, but I played Bloody Mary. Yeah.
I was locked in the closet. I didn't want to play.
Yeah. So my brother never played the Ouija board. We played it a lot, my best friend and I, but we were those weird. We were almost like twins. I mean, we weren't related at all, but we could finish each other's sentences. We were those weird kids. Like I could just look at her, and then we'd get up and no word would be spoken, and we'd both just leave the room and do what we just non-verbally talked about. It was so weird. My mom was like, "Oh, you freaked me out," and that was from my mom. It was like she was the freakiest person I've ever met, and she's like, "Stop!" It was weird. So Susie and I played a lot, the Ouija board a lot, and there was a lot of dark energy that came around Susie. And just because she invited it, because she wanted to push the envelope on everything. So it was like, I mean, I'm talking about a girl who wrecked her quad so many times that she had like scars all over her face. She always pushed the envelope. Everything she did had to be 1,000-fold. And I loved her dearly. She's no longer with us. But I loved her, but she was always pushing the envelope, so she would always invite the darkest, creepiest, and most negative thing that she could into that space, and then leave. And then it was there, and my mom was like, damn it! She'd have to quiet. She always knew what we were up to, Mom, the creepy mom, so she'd have to come and clear the house again. She's like, would you stop? So it was, you know, so yeah, Susie could invite. I was scared. I didn't want to, because I knew from my mom, all these conversations with my mom, look, you don't. So thank God my mom was around to be able to clear all of that every time we did stuff. So finally my mom got rid of it. I don't know, it just disappeared one day.
You don't say.
Yeah, I think it went in the burn barrel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah. So can you use it? Yes. Always be careful. I always say be careful. Be careful who you're talking to, because you never know who's going to walk through the door. So, if you're talking to a grandma and she was a nice, fluffy grandma that thought about bunnies all the time, that's wonderful. Be very, very careful. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
well, thanks for joining us on Speaking of Spirits, and we'll talk to you next time.
You've been listening to Speaking of Spirits, powered by Pocatello Paranormal Research in Pocatello, Idaho. Thank you for joining us today. We're glad you could be here. If you're enjoying the podcast, please do us a favor and go to whatever platform you are listening to the podcast on and give us a review. We prefer the 5-star reviews. This helps us know how we're doing, and it helps others to find the podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next podcast.